Hey guys, welcome back to Doodling with Purpose, the internet's only week-by-week guide to learning hieroglyphics, and we are in the middle of talking about pronouns. There's three types of pronouns in languages: suffix pronouns, dependent pronouns, and independent pronouns. And guess what? Since we already went through the suffix and dependent pronouns, guess what we're talking about? Today we're going to talk about independent pronouns. So independent pronouns are actually relatively easy because they are the subject of characterization. If you recall, characterization in hieroglyphics is done through a form of the verb called the participle. All right, so let's look at the independent pronouns first, and then we'll talk about the use with the participles. All right, so we have all of our English pronouns: I, you, he, she, we, you feminine, you plural, and they, the standard pronouns of Egyptian hieroglyphics. All right, so I is ink. It's the IN followed by K, the basket. Ink. It can also be done with a glyph of a determinative of a man, meaning I, a single person, when a man is touching his mouth. It's because it's a word that you speak. All right, U. U is nkt, N-T-K. So it's the water sign, the loaf, and the K, the basket with the hook on the end. Nitk, U. He and it is nitf, N-T-K. F, so water sign, loaf, horned viper for he or it. For she, it's nuts, which is water sign, loaf, and then the bolt of cloth. It can also be done with the door lock. All right, for we, it is the papyrus reed, the man touching his mouth, followed by N, and then another N with the plural. U is NTS, or it can be NTT. So it can be done with two loafs or the hobble. U, NTNT, Nutton, NTNT. N, the water, loaf, loaf, water. Kind of fun, actually. And then finally, they is water sign, loaf, bolt of cloth, water sign with three stroke lines, because again, we're plural. Three stroke lines always indicate a plural. Okay, so we'll come back to those at the end so you can make your cards. Let's talk about how they're used, independent pronouns. As the subject of characterization, which, as you recall, characterization in Egyptian is done with the participle form. So as a reminder, the participle form answers the question, who was I? So for independent pronouns, you're basically saying, who was I, or who was he, who was she, who were they, etc. All right. So again, the participle is a verb as a noun. It's a unique thing that shows up in ancient Egyptian, shows up in other languages too. So in English, we might say something like a watcher. In Egyptian, it would be a person who sees. So you would take the verb to see, ma'a, and then you would change it into the participle form, which turns it into a description of the person. So the independent pronoun before this makes the whole sentence, I was a person who sees. See how that kind of works? So here we have the participle form of to see, which is one who sees, or in English we might say a watcher. And then the independent pronoun automatically puts this into past tense because you are describing what this person or yourself is. So that you want to use the past tense form of the participle, which is I was one, not who sees, but who saw. All right, so see how we've also removed the second double consonant because in the past participle you don't have doubles. You only have a single consonant if it normally doubles. So this is one who saw, ma'a, in the past participle form. The participle, again, being a verb that is used as a noun. So it's someone who's seeing, but it's the seer, it's the watcher, if you will. And if we add our independent pronoun before this, one who saw then becomes I was one who saw, because the independent pronoun of I was, ink, ma'a, I was one who saw. The independent pronoun for I, in this case, followed by a verb in the form. All right, so now that we know we're going to combine the participle form to see and the independent pronouns before it, well, now we can understand the key to understanding how independent pronouns are used. So One, it is always going to be blank was. He was, she was, they were, we were, you were. All right, so that's kind of the first aspect of independent pronouns. Whatever it's doing, it's going to be in the past tense. And then we're going to combine that with the past participle form of the verb. And that makes the entire sentence something where the verb as a noun in the participle is describing how a person was, what they were like, what their character was like. The verb as a noun, one who blanked, and then blank was. So in other words, whatever the pronoun is. So blank was, one who blanked. I was, one who saw. She was, one who ate. He was, one who ran. All right, so here's all your independent pronouns. Your homework for this week is to write these down on flashcards and, well, start memorizing them and start writing them out. Thanks so much, and next week we're going to actually go into some more learned glyphs. We're going to do some ideograms. We haven't done new glyphs in a while, so good to return to that. Thanks for watching, thanks for sharing, thanks for being part of the class. Could not do this series without you. Thank you. I'll see you guys next week.